Hey, it's Ducky, and today I'm starting a new series of artist studies. I really want to improve my art and get better, so my secondary school art teacher would be very happy to see that I am actually doing artist studies. I wanted the first study to be an artist I love but is super different to anything I've ever done before, so I chose Furry Little Peach. They're an Australian artist and I'll link them below. I love them. I've been watching them for years. But their art is very different to anything I do. It's a lot more cartoonish and very stylized and I adore it. First I had to look through quite a lot of their art. I used Instagram and their website portfolio for that and just chose several pieces to do a study of in my sketchbook. The first is this very happy little flower which is super cute and is the piece I first think about when I think about Furry Little Peach. Now we're onto a cute little person with a lily pad on their head. I love how fun Furry Little Peach makes their art. It really fills you with that childlike wonder. The other pieces I used to study and practice their art style were these cute little candle characters, a more sad piece with a person crying, and a tooth that I think was a Peachtober piece for Toothache. And of course, the most important part of any Furry Little Peach piece is their iconic starry backgrounds. I really struggled with getting... my notes make no sense. I really struggled with getting the same kind of vibrancy for the background that they get, but I know they also do use inks, which are a more vibrant medium, and I was using watercolour. I definitely struggled getting the watercolours to act how I wanted across the page. I don't have much experience with watercolours as my paint of choice is usually acrylic. I also struggled with the transparency of the watercolours as I was trying to emulate pieces made with gouache with very, very cheap and old watercolours. I didn't have a white watercolour because when I opened it, the seal had been broken and it was really crumbly and had gone a weird yellowy colour. So I ended up including white acrylic to lighten colours and make the watercolours less transparent. I'm sure that isn't how you're supposed to use these mediums, but it kind of worked for me. Another problem I had was that I kept not mixing enough of colours, so then I'd try and add water to stretch it, but obviously that would then dilute it and it wouldn't be the same colour and it wouldn't be as thick. So I had to keep going over areas to make sure that the colours were somewhat similar. I definitely need to work on my paint theory a bit better because I'm not the best at mixing colours. Surprisingly, I was able to mix a pretty good skin colour, which is something I've normally always struggled with, but again, I kept not mixing enough. One thing Furry Little Peach does amazingly is their colour palettes. Each piece feels unique and yet cohesive with the rest of their artwork. In terms of colour, I love the nighttime pieces the most. There's some just really nice purples and blues. Now onto the bit that really makes everything pop, the dark night sky around the bright stars. I loved how this looked, but I kept accidentally painting over the tiny stars. I'm definitely not the best at detail work, however I have since found angled brushes, I think that's what they're called, and now I rarely use any other brush. This was supposed to be the quick research / study portion, but this took me so much longer than expected and also so much longer than the final piece. This was my first time using pencil on top of watercolour, and I completely understand why people do this. It felt like it really made the watercolour look like a finished piece, and maybe that's why I've never really liked watercolour before. It gave some pieces really nice texture in places. Furry Little Peach uses different colours for line art across the piece, and I really like this effect, as this was another technique I'd never used before. I instantly struggled with this. I think I was running very low on the white acrylic I used at the beginning. So I really struggled to get good colours that weren't super muddy and streaky. Now the stars on this piece, I was even worse at going around all the stars, even though it was on a larger scale. I think I rushed this piece a lot and was just very impatient and not in the right headspace to try super hard with this. I was struggling a lot with finding the right colour values, and I didn't plan the colours going into this piece, so I think I need to learn from that. I think the pencil outlines really pulled this piece together. I was really proud of the hills. I felt like I gave them some good personality with the placement of the face on the sad hill. I feel like it looks like it's looking at the happy hill. I also coloured over one hill to give it more texture and try to make them look separate because I used the same colour on them for some reason. I wasn't a fan of the lines I put on the end of the broom, but I can't change that now, so it's not that big of a deal. I also used a white coloured pencil to try and define the stars better, but they were already a bit of a lost cause. Is it as good as Furry Little Peach? No, but I learned a lot from doing this, and that's what I wanted from this series. I want to learn different techniques and overall just improve my skill as I go along.